Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's reflection. Today we'll be looking at Barabbas, and I'll explain why I think he's a representative in the Bible for every one of us. I think the Bible gives us a real opportunity to insert ourselves into the Easter narrative. So I'll just share with you the passage. Matthew chapter 27, I encourage you to read along with me. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they were bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and our children." Then he released Barabbas to them. But he had Jesus flogged and handed over to be crucified. So there's actually not a great deal of people who are mentioned by name in all four of the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You've got Jesus, obviously. You've got John the Baptist. You've got Pontius Pilate, Mary Magdalene, and Barabbas. Not even all of the 12 disciples are named in every single one of the Gospels. Scripture tells us that Barabbas was a notorious criminal and he had been sentenced to death. He was not a national hero. In fact, he must have been a very safe bet for Pilate to offer him up for trade. All of the accounts of the crucifixion describe a Pilate who really doesn't want to judge Jesus, much less sentence him. It's worth saying that we know more about Pilate than Barabbas, but since this isn't about him, we won't get into a great deal about that. Let's just summarize it to say that history does not conclude what kind of Pilate was, but Scripture is clear. He did not wish to infer judgment on a man who he deemed was innocent. His wife was involved too. So he decided to choose the most opposite example of a person he could in order to quell the crowd. He would have chosen someone as tribute who he thought would have been distasteful to set free. Pilate thought surely the people will choose Jesus to be released over Barabbas. Ultimately, Barabbas was released and an innocent man was crucified. I think Barabbas is just like each and every one of us. Romans tells us that every person is a sinner, destined for punishment of death. Jesus took on our punishment in our place. I think that the character of Barabbas is in all four books of the gospel so that we would recognize that Jesus willingly took our place so that we could be free. Lastly, neither the Bible or history tells us what happened to Barabbas, what he did after he was released. It doesn't even tell us what he was thinking. Back in my time in Dalkeith, I did a monologue. I dressed up as Barabbas would have looked. And we set a stage up and everything, and it was just me speaking what maybe Barabbas would have been thinking. It made me really think at that time about what it was he was really feeling. I mean, what do you think he would be feeling after being let go? Spared death, given life, because an innocent man went on the cross in his place. Would it be shock? Maybe he was feeling shock or disbelief, maybe gratitude. Maybe it was, we don't know anything about what it was that he really did do afterwards. But I'm sure that it had some kind of an impact on him, a big impact. So I wonder what impact has that had on you? If we are all Barabbus, then we have all been set free because of this innocent man on the cross. So have you responded? Have you responded to this freedom? Just food for thought. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.